Tired of listening to the same old playlists or podcasts over and over? Maybe it's time to mix things up. Try something new. Hit explore. Before you've even put your buds in, grab a bowl of Pebble cereal and put some fun in the mix. You'll be listening to the good stuff soon enough. Fruity and Cocoa Pebble cereal. Less blah, more yabba dabba doo. Head to your nearest grocery store to buy Pebble cereal now. Yabba dabba doo and the Flintstones and all related characters and elements. Copyright and trademark Hanna-Barbera.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive. Most of you aren't just listening right now, you're driving, cleaning, and even exercising. But what if you could be saving money by switching to Progressive? Drivers who save by switching save nearly $750 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Multitask right now. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode, and I've got a guest for you today, Bill Cohen, CSA. He's going to talk about his company and his business. It's quite interesting, and managing support and care, and how to prepare, and I'm really happy to have him on the show. So, Billy, welcome.
Yep, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know we connected, and so, we're a business entrepreneurship podcast. I know you have degrees in business, so talk about your company and what you do.
No problem. So I like to say, so if you had asked me about 19, 20 years ago, what was going to happen, my journey with my mother, and that I'd be sitting here today talking to you and doing what I do, I'd say, no way, crazy, couldn't make up that scenario. So I have a couple business degrees. I've had a couple different careers in financial services, working for the government, but I'm originally from New England. I live in Portland, Oregon. My mom was living in Biloxi, Mississippi, of all places, in the mid-2000s. She had been there about 3 decades. And the real short version of this is that my mom was showing signs of concern, and is the kind of thing that caregivers or other families can be looking for: paranoia, agitation, confusion, memory loss, not taking care of the house, not taking care of the finances. Things are out of order. And so we knew something was wrong, but she was in the caregiver role herself for my late stepfather, who was on and off hospice. And we thought, well, if he passed away or went into a care community, would she bounce back? Was she just getting older? Was she stressed out? That type of thing. And we never got that opportunity, because what happened 19 years ago this month on the Gulf Coast in New Orleans, Hurricane Katrina, and their house was completely washed away in the storm surge down to the foundation. The trauma, seeing the house gone, exacerbated, accelerated whatever was going on with her. We knew there was some condition, but we found out later it was Alzheimer's. Make a long story short, she had evacuated. She was on the East Coast with other family members. I moved her out to Portland. I had been attending support groups, getting counseling, talking to a nice care community. She was about 5 years out here, 1 year in assisted living, and 4 years in memory care. Now, that support group I kept going to for a little bit, thinking, well, I'll help others go through their journey like others helped me. But I kept going, and I became the facilitator. And I was doing the walk to end Alzheimer's, raising funds and going to the Capitol and advocating for research funds, that type of thing. And I thought as I approached retirement from a completely unrelated job with the state of Oregon, that I would just do more of that. But I came across this concept of a caregiving support consultant. Let me preface that with this. When it comes to most conditions, as you probably know, whether it's cardiovascular, cancer, et cetera, most of the focus is on the person with that disease or condition. But who's saying to the caregiver, how are you doing? What support and resources do you need? And when it comes to dementia, not only is that lacking, we're lucky if we even get a dementia diagnosis, but where's the plan? Where's the treatment? Where's the support? And I felt let down, and people still feel that way. It hasn't improved much. So I try to fill in that gap for the family caregivers that don't know how to handle the behaviors and the care and managing the care and taking care of themselves. That's where I step in as a caregiving support consultant, and I provide advice, support, resources, and referrals for them, help reduce their stress their feeling of overwhelm and lack of sleep and things like that, because that's what I needed back then. So that's how I helped caregivers and families.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful introduction. And so, kind of the next question I have for you is, so when you this talk about how you created a business and how you arranged people and resources around this very important topic and issue.
Great question, because I was basically, from what I gathered, it was very hard to find anybody else doing what I'm doing, and that's still the case. What I ended up doing was, instead of using LinkedIn for job search, I used it to build my network and connect with everybody in senior care, dementia care, elder care that I could find, not just locally, but nationally and internationally, and ask them, what do you do? How do you get paid? How do you market yourself? What do you think about what I'm going to do? And I got great support, and I'm still using that network today. And basically, I had to start from scratch, registered my business, and just started going to every possible networking meeting I could find, using social media, building a website, those type of things, and connecting, because I had to raise awareness for what I do. And it took a while, believe me.
Yeah, I find it very fascinating how you adapted and how you used social. You were very intentional and how you use social media and how you used it for networking. So kind of moving on, the conversation is, kind of the challenges of caregiving. What are some of the biggest challenges caregivers face when supporting a loved one with dementia, and how do they plan and prepare and overcome these obstacles?
This will almost get into the FAQs, frequently asked questions, is what do I do first? I'm seeing these signs in my loved one, my mother, my spouse, my sister, whoever it is, and what do I do first? And the challenges are, you first have to take care of the legal. If you don't have the wills, the trust, the power of attorney, the health representative, advance directive, the POST, those type of things, and I can define those acronyms if necessary. You can't advocate for them. You can't talk to the doctors. You won't have things in place. The other is making sure that they are safe, because they can't make their own decisions. They may not be able to take care of themselves. Look for tripping hazards. Look for things in the kitchen. Are they using gas? Are they going to turn the gas off? Do they have electric appliances or tools? Are there guns in the house? Things like that. And starting to look at the care. What are the first steps they should do? The most important is, in a family, is having the conversation and not kicking the can down the road. Oh, they're just getting older. They're tired. Like I said about me with my mom, I was in denial myself, right? So a lot of people are that way, and they don't want to talk. Oh, she's fine. You don't have to worry about it. But the important thing is have those conversations, start making plans. Some of the things, like I mentioned, the legal, make sure they're safe, they're getting good care, finding resources. And when it comes to dementia in general, the Alzheimer's Association is a great resource because they handle all kinds. They have education, they have support groups, they have a lot of information on there about different kinds of dementia. And there is a 24/7 helpline that if you call any time of day or night, somebody's going to answer that phone, usually like a social worker, and provide you support or just ask a question. And people don't know how to handle the behaviors, like repeated questions. When is my son coming? When is my son coming? When is the doctor appointment? When is the doctor appointment? And there are ways to take care of that. Or how to handle the anger, how to handle that they're following you around the house, things like that. I help people go through that because that is very, very frustrating to caregivers. I know it was for me. And I had a very close relationship with my loving mother, but the challenges of dealing with those behaviors, in fact, I'll give you a quick story if we have time. Very soon after she lost her home in Katrina, she had evacuated to North Carolina. And a couple days after the storm, she's out in the driveway of my stepfamily. They didn't have a very good relationship as it was, but she was trying to exit seek. Fortunately, another family member gets on the phone and says, Sheila, my mom's name, if you don't get back in the house, Sheila, you may end up in a place you do not want to be, like an institution, right? So I get back there as soon as possible, next possible plane. I was planning on going anyway. And I arrive, she's glad to see me. And I have a term rather than therapeutic or white lies, I call it compassionate deception. So I told her, Mom, we're going to go see a new doctor tomorrow. Oh, okay, that sounds good. I'm in a new place. Where we were going was the emergency department. That next day, about 10 hours in the ER, and in an adjoining conference room, the hardest emotional day of my life because my mother was so stressed out, so agitated, almost like a caged animal. I barely recognized her. Get her admitted finally, see a geriatric physician, give her medication. The next morning, I come off the elevator and she says, there you are. There's my savior. She wasn't angry at me. It was the disease. She was scared. She didn't know what was happening to her. So these are the kind of things that people have to deal with, and they don't know how. And I try to help them through those. It's not going to be easy, but there are tools, there are techniques, there are ways to get support. So you're not trying to do it. This goes back to your original question, not trying to do it all by yourself and not try to do it all at once. And to use another medical term, which I think you'll appreciate, you really need to go in triage mode, like the ER or the battlefield. This is the most important thing. There's the next thing. Everything else will have to wait.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. The next question is for elder mediation, and what is elder mediation? How does it work? What situations is most beneficial for families caring for an aging relative?
Great question. It's interesting that increasingly I'm finding myself in the position that a lot of families can't even decide on ordering pizza for dinner, let alone how, who, where to take care of their loved one. They're at odds. They're at an impasse. They can't make a decision. Like some people have ulterior motives. They have hidden objectives. They're not keeping focused on the person with the condition. So I am now a trained elder mediator, have been for a while now, and I help families come to an agreement that they can all live with. They are not going to all get everything that they want. That's the idea of mediation, but come to an agreement. I don't make the decision for them. Keep them talking, communicating, stay out of the courts, no lawyers involved. It's private among them. And I do have to let them know, I can't fix your family problems. I'm not a therapist, but we will keep talking using me as a neutral third party objective to help them come to that agreement on where, how, and why we should take care of your loved one. Really quick story. Had 4 siblings, 2 and 2, divided in half around 4 cities and 3 states in the Pacific Northwest. And at one point in the mediation, one of the siblings says, well, at least we're not yelling at each other. So that was a win. And we moved forward and came to an agreement that, again, they could all live with.
Yeah. Again, I really love your heartfelt and your personal stories. Next question is, building a support system, and what advice do you have for caregivers on how to organize and collaborate with the care team to ensure comprehensive support for their loved one?
Another great question. It's exactly what I try to do. I don't just work solo and just take care of one part of the caregiving journey. I like to say I don't compete with anyone. I collaborate with everyone. Certified Senior Advisor is taking a holistic approach and bringing together all the different elements that are necessary to take care of not only the loved one, but take care of you, the caregiver, the family member. So another good story is this. I have a client, actually, she's in town now from UK. Her mom is in Portland. We've been working together for almost 2 years, quite the journey there. And the mom, I'll try to make a very long story short, the mom was unnecessarily in memory care. She had been in independent living in one of these beautiful care communities, looks like a hotel, luxury and everything else, but they were neglecting her. And so was the step family. So to make a long story short, after I've been contacted by the daughter in UK, we put together a conversation, a care conference, which included various elements, including the care community, even adult protective services was there, elder law attorney, a house call geriatric physician, the in-home care people, the family members, etc. and discussed it to try to get the mom back on track. One of the elements was that the current physician, or PCP, didn't believe in one simple thing that the mom needed, B12 shots. And that was one of the things that her got back on gear. She had no business being in memory care at that point. Now she does. That's a different story. But at that point, she didn't. And she ended up getting back into independent living with her husband. So that was a win-win. And we ended up making sure that she had the care she needed, that the team was in place, so there wouldn't be a repeat of that, and to also support the daughter in UK, what is that, 7-8 time zones away, depending upon where we are in the times, to be at what do you call it, eyes and ears on the ground for her and visit with her mom along with the other members of the care team. That reduced her stress. You can imagine how she felt trying to manage that from so far away, along with making multiple trips. Very, very stressing. Very, very stressful.
Interesting. I know we have a few minutes left, and a lot of caregivers, they get burned out or exhausted. So talk about what practical tips do you recommend for caregivers to take care of themselves and make sure that they don't get make sure that they are mentally and emotionally healthy.
Right, because that's very important, because it's very easy to go from burnout to getting sick or worse. Many caregivers predecease the person they're trying to take care of. And going back to what you were also asking, was putting together that care team ensures that they're going to not only the person with the disease or the condition, but also the caregiver taken care of. It's a matter of, you can't do it all yourself, can't do it all at once. Support can come from different places. Family is however you define it. It could be neighbors. It could be friends. It could be other relatives. It can be ex-coworkers. It could be a charitable or church religious organization. People come in to help and take some of the load off. But besides looking for support from those sources, go to a support group. Not all of them are in person. And I know some people are more rural, more remote. They may not be able to find one nearby, but there are so many virtual support groups. I have one that I do every week. It alternates between in person and online. And I do it online still since the pandemic, because I had people join me from New England to Hawaii. And they keep coming every other week online. Also, besides that, seeking support from all those different sources, like I mentioned, if you have to do counseling, self-care is it's not selfish, it's vital. And whether it's going for a walk, going for coffee with friends, I used to go get a massage on a regular basis during this time period. I'd get away from my desk because I had a full-time job while I'm taking care of mom as well. And I had a horrible micromanager boss. So you can imagine where my stress level was. But a massage became not a luxury, but a necessity for me. And to each person their own: yoga, meditation, exercise, what have you. And that's where getting that support system in place, so people can give you respite and give you a break for a couple of hours or a day or a long weekend. And the most frequent answer I get what do you do when you have a weekend off? Sleep. I go to a hotel and sleep, because that's so hard. And that's so basic to maintaining your good health. So each person is their own, but find a way to get some respite and to do things that'll reduce your stress and your feeling of overwhelm.
How can people find you and follow you and reach out to you if they're more interested in this topic of conversation?
Sounds great. My website is Cohen, Cohen, Caregiving Support, CohenCaregivingSupport.com. I actually have another online group or social support group, Dementia Support Group for Caregivers with Bill Cohen. I'm on all the platforms, not currently on TikTok, but taking a little break from that. But Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed this conversation. And for the audience, be sure to give Bill's socials a like and follow, and reach out to him. And thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking.